can you please begin by introducing yourself and describing what you do?
My name is Martin Creed, and I don't know. I try to live my life as in the world I find myself in, and I try to. I think I spend most of my time trying to help myself to feel better, because most of the time I don't feel so good.
That's interesting, mostly because repetition is so integral to your work, and repetition for me is a means to feel better.
Yeah. I think for me, rhythms and things that repeat are comforting, and I think that's why I try to work on music as well. But also rhythms and repetitions in visual works. I think I find helpful and comforting. And I think a lot. It's almost like it's like a fence that like a fence, you know, the bars on the fence. Is like for example, if you're in a wild jungle, you know, a fence in front of the jungle, it kind of like helps you to enjoy looking at the jungle without getting eaten by the lions.
Makes me think of the bars on a cot for a baby too.
Aye, exactly.
A super safe place.
So, I think of my work as like, I think I definitely doing things helps me, and I feel like it's like if I can make something that's simple and solid, then it's like a handrail or something to hang on to in an ever-changing world.
So why then though do you think that so many people find your work hard, right? So I mean the Turner Prize piece is the best example, right? Someone threw an egg at it. But a lot of people find your work really hard. Why?
If people find it hard, then that's a mystery to me. But it might be because it's so easy, you know. Because maybe it's hard. Maybe it's like something that like the lights going on and off is just a really simple, you know, little experiment to try to make something happen in a room without putting something in the room. Because there was nothing that I believed in enough to put it in the middle of the room and say, hey, look at this, isn't it great? You know, which is basically, when you have an exhibition, that's what you're doing. You're saying, look at this, you know, isn't it great? And if you don't feel like there is anything that's that great, you know, it's a problem. And so the lights going on and off was a sort of solution to the problem of trying to make something that wasn't like choosing a specific thing, but more like just doing something with the world, you know, and just switching the lights going on and off was a way of trying to do that. But I don't think there's, you know, I think it's simple and, you know, stupid really, you know, that's like a stupid work, you know, but so maybe someone might find that difficult if they think that there ought to be more to it than that, you know.
Some of the work though that is really hard. I mean, there's famously videos of people pooing.
Right.
Even the work is physically hard, where you had I can't remember, it's work number 850 or something, where people are running up and down the gallery. That's physically difficult.
All right, aye.
The bells ringing, that's physically impossible, right? You couldn't get every single bell.
Exactly, aye.
So they are quite difficult.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I agree.
Do you like that? Do you like the tension between how simple something is and how difficult it can be?
No. I want it to be, I want it to be easy, you know. But I think the problem is that that life isn't easy, you know, and so I think the thing I'm most scared of is that I'm kidding myself, that I'm sort of deluded somehow, you know. So when I work, I try not to kid myself, you know, and so that makes every decision kind of very difficult, partly because you cannot get out of yourself, you know, and So I don't know if that I don't know if that really answers the question, but maybe that does result in things often being quite difficult, because basically you can't really live your life without really functionally, I don't think, without kidding yourself, basically. I think that's why people go mad, is when they don't, or find it difficult to cope with life if you don't secretly think that you're great, then life's very difficult, I think. And so in other words, you have to kind of slightly delude yourself that to be able to, function.
So is it all then just a massive coping mechanism? It's all the work.
Definitely, because I think that, the whole of life, and I would not distinguish between life and work. I wouldn't distinguish what I do, like what I'm doing now, from when I was having a coffee earlier this morning, from when I'm doing a painting, that might be called an artwork by someone, although not by me. But I wouldn't distinguish. Life's just a big blobby mess, and I think it is a matter of coping, because it's as far as I can know anything about what I myself am doing, I find myself here in this world as far as I'm aware, and I try to do my best in the situation I find myself in,
But you really don't think your paintings are art? That's not.
Well, I wouldn't call them art, only because
Why?
I don't know what the word art exactly means, and because I don't know, because I don't find it helpful when I'm working to think. I mean, so I think that I think art is anything that people collectively think is art. That's what art is. So, in other words, it's a kind of very difficult to pin down. It's like love, it's like magic or something like that. It's not, you can't really pin it down,
So it's a bit Emperor's New Clothes.
Well, it's not. No, I don't know. It's not. No, it's not that. No, because I think it's. No, I mean, the feeling that I have that would be called, a kind of art feeling, like looking at a beautiful thing, is a bit. That's like the best feeling in the world. That is like love, But it's not. There's no. It's difficult to pin down, and So like if I think, okay, I'm gonna make a work of art, I wouldn't know where to start. But if I say I'm gonna try and make a painting, well, then I can start,
I guess that's sort of tied into something I see present in a lot of the work, and even in the way that you title your paintings. I don't know if I can explain this as well as I would like to, but that there's this act of disappearing, with the lights going on and off, or the bells ringing and then stopping, or the runners running and then stopping, or the essay where you describe leaving the island that you have a house on, and the going away from it, the act of it disappearing is sort of beautiful to you. And then the counting, for me, feels like you're counting the works, and that you're suggesting that the counting's going to stop. One day it will just stop.
Right.
Does that resonate with you at all?
Well, I think the counting or numbering thing is just like trying to, desperately trying to control, a situation trying to give things numbers. It's like a desperate person, trying to think that he's in control of his life, But I don't know if.
But what about disappearing? What about the idea that your art will outlive you, but that you're sort of making it. It's so present. It's so in the moment. So much of it is so present in the moment. The balloons filling half their space.
Well, I think that's a very important part of things. I think that I think I've got into trying to make work that is more like a. I mean, I think of an exhibition pretty much as a theatrical event, you know. So even if there's paintings, you know, a painting is more or less a fixed thing, even though it can degrade over time. But let's say but it degrades quite slowly compared to, let's say, you know, if you make, you know, a cake, you know, which would dry out fast. You know, but a painting might take, you know, hundreds of years or even thousands of years to degrade fully, you know. But then it's just a question of speed, really, you know. Nothing lasts forever, you know, or not, and it doesn't stay the same anyway. But, and anyway, nothing is, you know, you can't separate anything from people's experience of it. And since people are living beings who die, you know, it basically means that nothing's ever the same, you know, from moment to moment. So I think that thinking about that got me into thinking, I need to make work in the light of that. And I think that's got me into making a lot of work that does change, that is basically like more or less like a live event. But that comes from thinking that everything is a live event. You know, a painting on a wall is a live event because the painting's only on the wall if people are looking at it and sort of realizing this on the wall, you know, and so the combination of the painting and the people, that's a live event. The people are moving around, you know, chatting, whatever. And so in a way, that if you have a performance, let's say, where some people are dancing or whatever, you know, then the only difference there is that both the thing being looked at and the people watching it are both living beings. But basically, it's always just a live event, you know. And I think thinking about that has got me into making a lot more, because thinking that's present in everything. Therefore, maybe I should try to work with it, you know. Because in a way, a painting, because it tries to fix something, a traditional painting, I mean, you know, not, because I know there's all kinds of paintings. You might do paintings with LEDs or something, you know, but a traditional painting tries to fix something, but that in its, you know, which in itself is a denial of reality, you know.
I hadn't thought about this until just now, but the broccoli paintings sort of take that up as their subject in a funny kind of way, right? Because the broccoli in your hand is breaking down as you're painting, right?
Oh yeah. Aye, well, that's true. You cannot use broccoli more than once.
Really? It's just the one time? Aye. What do you do with it?
It's a very expensive paintbrush.
What do you do with the broccoli when you finish?
Well, I throw it out. Because you can't even eat it afterwards. Although maybe if you were careful about it, you probably could eat some of it. But
so there's just massive piles of rotting broccoli with paint on them somewhere.
Aye, well, I don't know where they went exactly, but I like broccoli.
While we're talking about painting, wait, you like broccoli? I'm going to go back to that. You like broccoli to eat as well?
Yeah, to eat. That's why I got into this broccoli thing because, well, it actually came about because I was trying to think of a record cover for a 7-inch single, and I was just trying to think of what I could put on the cover, and I thought that that was about the size of a head of broccoli, because I'm in a lot of contact with broccoli because I eat it every day pretty much, and I like it a lot. So and I just thought, yeah, that's about the size of broccoli, and then I just thought of doing a print with it, like a potato print. And then when I saw the print, the first one I tried, I realised that, or I thought it looks like a tree, you know, in a way it looked like a beautiful drawing of a tree, you know. And I just liked that, and I thought it was funny, or something like that. But
are there other things you do every day? I mean, when you sat down for the interview, you said you record all your interviews. Are there other things that you?
Yeah, well, I record all interviews because I don't really throw anything out, you know. I try to keep. I think that.
Except for the broccoli, you throw that away.
Yes. That's a good point, actually. But I don't, you know, I think you cannot know, you know, when you. I think that you can't really know what you're doing, you know, what you're like. I feel like I can't really know what my work is, and so I should try. So when I'm working, who knows whether the painting I'm working on is better than the splashes on the floor that made from trying to do the painting, you know. It's like, and I feel like you can't really know at the time because you're in the moment yourself. You're not aware really of what you're doing. It's like body language, it's probably really clear to someone else what you're like, but you can't really know what you're like at the time, or it's difficult. So that's why. So I try to record things, and in case some idea comes up, if I want to try and remember it, I might go back to the recording, and I keep all working bits and pieces. But I suppose I don't keep broccoli because that might probably start to smell a bit, or something. But
that makes sense.
I suppose I could put it in the fridge. But
what's the process like of painting? Not just for the broccoli pieces, but the step paintings. I'll call them step paintings, stack paintings. What's that process like for you?
Well, these stack paintings are planned paintings, so the process of doing them is quite matter of fact. But the basic idea is to try and make a painting that that I'm happy with, and I didn't know what brushes to use, so I tried to use from big to small, and all the different stack paintings are variations of that, like small, medium, and large brushes, or the whole packet of brushes, and the painting more or less designs itself.
Do you use a new paintbrush every time?
No. I wash the brushes.
So you're not throwing those away?
No. But one of the ideas behind behind or in front of those works is that everything's visible, that nothing is, and that's, I think, something I try to do in a lot of work, is try not to hide anything. So in those paintings there isn't generally any underpainting, or you can see basically how it was made. It's like being able to see the layers of the bricks, the layers of bricks in a building.
But there's a real, yes, you can see it, but there's a real, you've sort of removed yourself from the making, in that you're saying, here's a brush, I'm going to use that brush. Here's another brush, I'm going to use that brush.
Aye.
So not everything is totally on the surface, right? Or actually is it?
You mean because of the thought process that went into... Aye. Well, that's true. And I suppose I'm never, I feel like I think that makes me think that, I think that's why I get into trying to write songs, because of, and trying to use words as well to try and, or combining words with pictures or words with music, to try and kind of go through a process of thought. So like a song might be, a kind of little process of thought, combined with a distinct rhythm.
Which is really...
So it might be like, in other words, talking about, it might be just talking about something like the brushes or, whatever.
Which that's pretty apparent in the music video with people in New York walking across the street, right? That repetition.
Oh yeah. Well, the idea of that was just to get all kinds of different people crossing the street.
How did you go about making that? Did you just literally tap people on the shoulder on the street?
No, I contacted a lot of disabled charities, because it kind of came from this other thing that I did with people running, and then the work I made with people, with ballet dancers, and so then I had the idea of having people. So the people, the running piece was like that came from thinking that basically everything I do involves me moving my body. So if I'm doing a painting, I move my body to do that, and if I make a phone call to ask someone to help me with something, I need to move so moving my body comes before everything, it's like the first sign of life. And so I thought that I ought to try and make work with people moving their bodies, and all I could think of was like people moving as fast as they possibly can, just to make it obvious that they were moving, and that led to the people running, basically sprinting, through the gallery that I did at Take Britain the first time, and then after that I kind of get into trying to break down movements a bit, and I worked with ballet dancers because ballet is like an off the shelf structured breakdown of different ways to move, so I looked into that, and then that led to eventually the walking across the street, because I wanted to try and have just have people walking in all different ways, basically, because I feel like I like watching people move, and so I just invited loads and loads of people, including a lot of disabled people who move in all different kinds of ways, and then I thought, well, where could they do this, and I've made videos in the past where like people vomiting and shitting, and I did those all in a white room because I thought to try and have just a blank background where the action is the most important thing, but partly because white backgrounds are really difficult when you're in videos. It can come out really. It can often look a bit dirty, or and I just get sick of that. And I thought, no, I should do it in the world. So this video with people moving in different ways, in all these different eccentric different ways, I should do that in the world somehow. And then I just thought, well, they could if they crossed a road, that would be like a real thing, going from A to B,
It's quite difficult to watch those in some instances, because when you're worried they're going to get run over when they're quite slow.
Right.
But then also, there's a man in jeans and he's pulling himself along, and that's tough to watch.
Aye. It was a difficult work to make that, and it involved a lot of talking with the people who were doing it. But I didn't want anyone to use apparatus like walking sticks or wheelchairs, And I wanted to show people moving across the world in all the different ways, and if that if you can't use your legs, you have to move without using your legs,
Yeah.
But to me, the point of that is that basically everyone is, I would say that everyone is disabled in the sense that we're all, struggling with our own difficulties, but and everyone expresses themselves, in the way that they move, and
Were you worried about?
But it was that, but I still found it really difficult, the kind of aspect of that, because like you say, it's like, oh my God, the guy is like, dragging himself across the street,
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Seriously.
But but I thought that I think there's often something, when things are difficult, that often I think there's a lot in them that, I think, I do believe that one should try to do what you're scared of, because often what you're scared of is the exact thing that you find, exciting, and that's something really, full of life,
Did it ever scare you that, particularly in that video, that you would be making a spectacle of their disability?
That idea occurred to me, but I thought, but then I did think about that, and there was some arguments about it. I had arguments with people about it, but then I thought, but like, I like the way these people move. I actually filmed videoed lots of people walking across the street, but I actually only used I think all the ones I used, really, most of them were people with what you would describe as some kind of physical disability, But that was because the other people just seemed boring to me, Like, I think that the way those people move across the street is a beautiful, it's a beautiful dance, basically, And it's beautiful, and it's like full of life, and it's got the difficulty of a life in it, as well as the beauty of a life, so the idea of I think it's only a problem if you think of the people as somehow victims,
Yeah.
But I was asking them if they would do this, And I tried all the people, you know, I think it's always like that with work. It's to do with like if you're working with people, like talking to them and like, so I didn't want to force anyone to do something, you know, that they didn't want to do, no.
Remind me what the verse of the song is.
The song, well, that's the song is called You Return, Sometimes You Return. And that actually, yeah, thinking about that, the song was put with that in the end, not through much logic, but just because that was a new song I'd just written, and maybe because it had a really strong beat, and I thought that it made it more like a dance, the movements, you know. But the song is about the You Return is about someone or a thought, you know, constantly occurring to you, and just like wherever you are, coming into your head, you know, and repeating.
So is that then for you? I hate to be quite so referential, but is that really what the point is for you?
The point of what?
All of it, of art, of what you do.
Is what the point?
Returning to an idea over and over, returning to a...
No, I don't think so. Well,
so what is then?
The point is to try and feel better, you know.
Where we began.
What?
Right where we began.
Aye, because, you know, basically life's hard and I want to feel better, you know, and so I go about, I every day I try and find, you know, excitement and beautiful things and people that make my life, you know, that make me feel better, you know, and then that doesn't really work, you know. The next morning I still feel bad, you know, and so then I try and feel better again, you know, and then it all happens all over again, you know, and it doesn't seem to matter what you do. You know, it's a never-ending sea of difficulty.
It's especially frustrating for the viewer, right? Because we want to consume your work, so in a way, we're asking you to keep feeling bad.
Right, aye. But see, the thing is, but to me, I work. I think the reason I work is helpful often is that I just think, like if it's because it's a solid thing. I feel like, oh, yeah, that's great. I can rely on that. You know, that is brilliant. It's just that simple. It's just that square of red or whatever, you know. And I feel like it's a relief, you know. I mean, if I see you know, that's what I think. If I see a painting by, you know, Frank Stella or something like that, you know, like one of his black paintings, I think, yeah, that's a relief, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Martin.